Hey guys, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. It's the weekend, which means it's time for another What's for Dinner video where I show you what I feed my blended family of 6 from Monday to Friday. So let's get right into it. For Monday, I'm sharing with you an old family recipe of roasted bologna. Don't knock it till you try it, guys. Watch the video. All right, guys, so we are gonna make a bologna roast. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. I'm just gonna use this roast pan here that I have with a lid. Basically, I had bought this whole log of bologna because it was on for $9 at the grocery store. Now, I don't want to eat this whole thing in one sitting, so I can freeze half of it. I'm not gonna, we'll probably eat that. But this here, I'm actually only gonna roast not as a whole, but I'm gonna slice it right down the middle so it's flat on the bottom. So that's what we're gonna use for the meat for our roast. Now for the sauce, you're going to need some sugar, ketchup, vinegar, vegetable oil, and some yellow mustard. You're going to use a very small amount of onions. If you like onions a lot, then you could probably use more. You just need a tablespoon of very finely chopped, almost like minced onion. You could almost use dried minced onion if you wanted to. And some fine ground pepper and salt. That's it, guys. That's what's involved. I'm going to go ahead and show you how we're going to slice it up. Okay, so if you look at bologna roast or barbecue bologna, that seems to be what a lot of people do on the internet. Sometimes they do this whole thing just as is. I'm making a recipe based on the way my aunt makes it, so I'm doing what she told me to do, which is to slice it this way. So I'm going to slice it right down the center. So I'm going to do it this way. Don't worry, I will not cut myself. It's a very sharp knife. There. So that's what we'll be roasting, okay? Now you got this, you can slice it up, you know, little thin slices for breakfast, fry that up for breakfast in the morning. I don't think I can fit 2 in here. If I can, maybe I will. You know what? I think we're gonna roast it all. There you go. There's my answer. So there we go. We're gonna roast both halves in there, but first we gotta slice it up. I just FaceTimed my mom for this, guys. Okay, serious. This is serious. She said you want to slice it up like a caterpillar. So anyway, she said almost all the way down, like 2/3 of the way. So I'm just gonna do this without going all the way through, because essentially I guess this is what's going to give let all the sauce soak in. Like she said, you really can't overcook it. The longer that you let it sit in there, the better it's probably going to be. So I'm even going to do this. I don't know if you're supposed to, but I feel like a little added on the top. Crisscross, right? There. Oh, that one went through. Did I mess that up? Almost. See that? There we go. So I'm going to put that right in there before that edge falls off. Good job, me. We're going to slice up this. Like I said, I don't need the whole thing. So I'm probably going to do about half an onion. I don't know if that's, she said about a tablespoon. Thing is, like, my mom hates onions, but she says it makes this dish. You need them absolutely. Now, because I don't know what size bologna my aunt was cooking, I'm going to go ahead and do 1.5 times the measurements for her sauce. I'm going to show you guys really quickly, and I'll type it out down below so you guys have it. Bologna roast. There's the ingredients if you want to take a snapshot. Sorry, it's written in cursive. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add all of the ingredients, about 1.5. So we'll guesstimate a little bit here. Okay, so there you have it. I did kind of take my fingers and pry it open a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So the sauce kind of gets in there. But I'm thinking it'll kind of meld in as it goes, and maybe I'll reserve a little on the side to kind of go in and brush it on as it starts to open a little bit more, right? So, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on. Try to help it get in there. Like I said, I made a little bit extra, probably more than what I needed, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it smells phenomenal. Yeah, it does. I mean, it's ketchup, mustard, sugar. I mean, how can that be bad? How can that be bad? Here we go. I don't know. I'm just making sure it's kind of coating all of it before I pour more in the pan, because I think it should be kind of sitting in it too, right? I think more is better, but again, I'm saving a lot so I can redose it after. This would be good left over with breakfast too, to fry up. There you go, folks. Yeah, definitely had too much sauce. Too much sauce. No? Okay. Bad mom jokes again. I'm telling you, I gotta stop singing. But you know what? I'm on borderline of millennial. I was born in 81, so I am at the very first for millennials. I'm somewhere in between. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of salt and pepper to the top. Just like that. Shake that on right directly to it. A little bit more. And some pepper too. I love pepper, especially with bologna, so I'm not going to be too shy on the pepper. There we go. Give you guys a closer look, yeah? Does that look not... Actually, that looks phenomenal. You know what would be good? Like pineapple. Why do I want to put pineapple in everything? Because I love it. It's amazing. So you're literally going to take this, 350, cook it in the oven for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And as my mother just said, you really can't overcook it. The longer it cooks, the better it's going to taste. So I'm going to put this in the oven. Let's do that now. And I'm going to go ahead and start my biscuits. All right, so now I'm going to make my mom's tea biscuits. I've made these before in another video, but I'll just show you guys quickly. It's probably the easiest tea biscuit recipe you'll ever find. Flour, lard, baking powder, a pinch of salt, and a cup of water, give or take where you're at and how wet your dough is getting. So that's it. Let's go ahead and make it. Now you can use lard or butter, but yeah, here it is. Everything you'll need. Love these tea biscuits, FYI. They're not buttermilk, they're not fancy, but they're delicious, especially when they're fresh out of the oven. All right, so we need 2 cups of flour. I'm gonna grab a knife so I can measure my flour properly. I see a lot of people cooking, like even now on YouTube, and I'm just going to show you what they're doing. And they're tapping it and like patting it. I don't want to do it because I'm going to shake my flour everywhere. Don't do that. Just, can you see this? Dip it in, grab what you can, take the back side of your knife, tap it, and scrape it so it's perfect like that, see? Going to do the same here. Good. I'm going to leave that in there actually. Now we need 1/2 cup of butter or a stick of butter or 1/2 cup of lard. I like these packages that this comes in. Kind of different. So we're going to use half of this. Just going to cut it in half. Now this is the part you can use a fork, or you can use a pastry cutter. Or if you have cold hands, use your hands. I do not. I'm gonna add my baking powder and salt first. So 4 teaspoons of baking powder. This one I kind of, 1, you can shake this one, 3, 4. And move my ingredients to the side as I'm going so I have less in front of me. Pinch of salt literally means pinch your salt, what you get in your hands, that's what goes in, and I'm gonna put a little bit more because I found last time they needed more salt. So it's probably like half a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon. That might be too much even. All right, there you go. Try to put it in pieces in there. This came right out of the fridge too. You want it to be cold. Just gonna put it right on the side and then I'll drop it in as it goes. So yeah, you want it to be cold, cold water, all that good stuff. Eventually you are gonna have to touch this with your hands just to work it together, but right now mine are really hot, so I'm not using it. It's like when Belle's making slime, she brings me slime. I'm like, Mom, you can't touch that. Just cut it all together now. Show you guys really quickly here. See, it's starting to crumble a little bit. That's pretty good. So now we can start adding water. I would add about half a cup to start, and you're stirring it in gently, kind of folding it in, seeing how it's going to come together, gauging, should I add more? If you really go crazy and you've added too much, add a little bit of flour. But just remember, the more flour you're adding, you might want to add a teeny tiny bit more salt and so forth. Otherwise it's going to taste like pure flour. This needs a little bit more water, but not a lot. So I would say I only needed 3/4 of a cup this time. When it's dry in the winter, you tend to need a little bit more liquid. And in the summer it's more humid, so makes sense. But see, what I'm saying is on the bottom, that stuff's not picking up, which tells me I need more water. Actually, I think we're probably going to go the full cup here. I take it back. I'm not doing a lot. I'm just slowly encouraging it to come together. And I think we're good. I can tell already it's pulling from the sides. And it is a little bit sticky, but not unmanageable. So we're going to get this surface ready and I'll show you how we roll it out. All right, I don't have a fancy granite or marble countertop. These are just regular old-fashioned, whatever they are. But I'm going to lay out some flour here because your dough is going to be a little bit sticky. Here it is. You see it starting to come together. Dip my fingers in some of that flour because it is a little bit sticky. And dump it right there. That's pretty much what your bowl should look like, right? You shouldn't have anything left on there. Put some flour on my hands too. And just, I'm bringing it together. I'm not kneading it more than 2 or 3 times. Otherwise, don't worry about the flour. You shake it off, it'll cook off. It makes it more authentic. See how I'm just kind of giving it gentle little hugs with my hand. And that's it. So, and these little folds I'm doing when I do this is creating layers in your biscuits, okay? So I'm going to grab a rolling pin. I don't always use one, but right now I just feel like it being a little bit more even for us. I'm going to do slightly bigger biscuits today. I have this little set. I've ordered it on Amazon. It's got various, and it's got the nice scalloped edges in various sizes. So the one thing I will do is throw a little bit of flour in my measuring cup that I can dip this in. because it will stick. I'm gonna do this once more. I don't like to keep pushing and rolling out the dough because you'll notice that that tea biscuit is a little bit rougher than the others. Okay. 2. And then usually I'll take the leftover dough because it's my tester, and I shape it like this into kind of a random tea biscuit, and that'll be for me to eat. Hi.
Hi.
There, and that's it. These can go in the oven at 350, and they can go, I have a double oven, so it'll go in the bottom and they cook at the same temperature. Okay, so the roast is in there. And underneath I've got the biscuits, like I said, at 350 for about, I don't know, check them in 10 minutes. Honestly, it's gonna depend on your oven. All right, so I'm gonna take them out. One thing I meant to tell you guys is you could brush the top of them with an egg wash or milk. My mom used to do that. A little bit of milk on top of them to brown them, because they don't really brown a lot unless, and if they start browning, it probably means that you overcooked them. That's usually, because look, see the bottom? It's nice and toasty. And the tops are nice and light. Ow, they just came out of the oven. Ah, next hand, so yeah. Actually, Rose, not too bad. And here's mine that I get to taste test right now. Yay! So let's do that. Hot, hot, hot. So I usually just do this to see the inside. Whew. C'est chaud. C'est chaud, huh? I just said that's hot in French, in case you're wondering. And they're perfect. Like, seriously? Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm just gonna burn the mouth off myself for a minute here. Ignore me. Oh, peace. Ready? Oh my god, the butter is melting. Obviously, it's scalding hot. Oh my god, you guys. You guys. Belle, you wanna try it?
Try what?
Oh. Well, Belle can't try it. It's way too hot. Woo! It's delicious. All right.
Come here, Whiskey. Come away. Oh,
Meow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Say hi.
Rock-a-bye, baby. You have so much lumps in your fur. You want to say?
I cut it. Well, I just wanted to add one more thing. So here they are. Don't they look pretty? They're nice. See that? You peel those apart. So good. And so easy. Like, I didn't have to gunk it up with everything. Anyway, what I want to say is the one thing I noticed the difference between butter versus shortening is these are flakier and they have a little bit more crisp to them. And I don't know if you can see, they're just nice. They're just nice. So give these ones a try, guys. Okay, so I'm popping in for a voiceover because the house was just too full to record. I pulled this out at about an hour and a half just to kind of rehydrate it and pour some more sauce over it. You could probably eat it at this point, but I like the idea of leaving it in there a little longer to soak up all those flavors. Now, originally the plan was to have biscuits and bologna for supper, but Jamie seemed a little sad that I wasn't making potatoes, so I opted to go ahead and prep these little baby potatoes, and I'm going to cook them in my foodie with some spices. So if you've never roasted or baked or air fried your potatoes in your air fryer, go ahead and give it a try. Coat it with whatever oil you'd like, add whatever seasonings you'd like. I cook them at around 390 or high, and I do it for anywhere from 16 to 24 minutes. It just depends on the thickness of the potato and your air fryer. Here it was delicious, and yes, it's amazing. Fried the next day for breakfast. So good, you guys. It's like candied bologna. I don't know how else to explain it or describe it. This is definitely going in the rotation. I even had some to share with the in-laws. This was supper for Monday night. Delicious. Tuesday called for deconstructed chicken parm. Thank you, Mother, for the idea. I'm going to serve this up with some steamed broccoli and some boiled peas. I'm just going to shred up some of my own cheese because I've noticed it's been a lot cheaper, and I'm going to serve it up with some penne. So I had some chicken that was going to get thrown out if I didn't cook it. I pressure cooked it with a little bit of chicken stock in my foodie and left it in this baggie in the fridge, knowing that I would come up with something to do with it. I'm also going to create my own Italian breadcrumbs with some seasonings. I'm going to throw some garlic in there, and of course you guys know I need my sweet basil marinara. It's the only pasta sauce that I use. I'm going to use some salt, pepper, and some Parmesan cheese as well. So let's get right into this. Guys, I have been loving this little steamer that I got from the dollar store. I used to use, a fancy steaming pot or put it in the microwave. This to me is the best way to cook it. I'm also going to boil up my peas. I just throw some butter and salt and pepper in the pot while they're cooking. I just find it so funny to rewatch this because my mom and I thought we were so clever coming up with this deconstructed chicken parm, only to find out it's all over Pinterest. Oh well, we felt good in the moment. I'm going to go ahead and mix up my own Italian breadcrumbs with Parmesan cheese, oregano, basil, onion powder, and garlic salt. I'm going to pour that right over the chicken, add some minced garlic and some olive oil, kind of mix it to combine, and then flatten it back out on the bottom again. Then I'm just going to top it off with the sauce and top it off with some mozzarella cheese, and bam, you have chicken parm. And then we'll bake it in the oven, and then you can serve it right on top of whatever pasta you want to cook. For me, it was penne because it was on for $1 a box. Now, after making this, I will say personally, if it was just Jamie and I or some other people aside from our kids who are fussy, I would probably cook it with pasta. I think it would be really, really good, actually. At this point, most of the ingredients are cooked. You're just heating it through. When it started to bubble at the corner, that's when I knew it was done. I cooked it at about 400 for maybe 20 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love chicken parm, but it is a process to prepare and to cook. This was so easy, a great way to use leftovers. I'm super excited. This is definitely going into our nightly repertoire. So psyched. Supper was delicious. All right, so for Wednesday night, we had fish and chips, Poutine style, and obviously with fresh cut fries, well, because I've got nothing else to do. The only reason that I buy them like this, I don't like this, I don't like the waste, is because of the size, because they're just the perfect size for French fries, and I don't want to buy an entire bag of them. So, and all I do when I'm peeling them is bring it towards me like this. And a really rough peel because I want to keep the ends intact. Just kind of like a restaurant style French fry. I've done this before on my channel, but we'll do it again. I just want to mention as well, I've done a video on this before where I compared cooking them in my foodie versus the deep fryer. In this instance, when I cooked them in the foodie, I did put too many in there, so it took way longer and they didn't crisp up quite as nice. But I will say, ultimately, I prefer the foodie. I just don't like that I can't cook as many as I need all at once. That's when the fryer wins. So the key to getting crispy fries, obviously, well, not obviously, if you've never done it, is to go ahead and soak them in very cold water for about 30 minutes, drain them, and soak them again for a few hours, indefinitely for the day, however long you can, and then pat them super dry. That's going to help alleviate a lot of the starch, and it's going to help them be crispy when you're frying them. Even if you're going to roast them in the oven, it's still a good idea to eliminate some of that starch. What I'm showing you here is the Saint-Hubert gravy, the Poutine gravy. It's our favorite. I don't know if you can get it anywhere else or just in Canada. I'm also showing you my Starfrit can opener because I love it. I've been through 2 of them. It's still my favorite. Okay, so if you haven't seen my last video, you know that Poutine cheese curds are the way to go, or just cheese curds. They're not called Poutine cheese curds. Go ahead and try them if you haven't tried them. Don't be afraid. They melt super, super nice, you guys. They're amazing. But I also have some mozzarella here because at our house, we like to mix it up and use both. Now I'm gonna season my fries because unlike in a conventional fryer, you wouldn't season them before putting them in the oil. With this, you do because it's kind of air crisping them, obviously. I just season them with canola oil and some Lowry's seasoning salt, and I'm gonna go ahead and shred up that mozzarella cheese. So you can see here it is more than 3/4 full. Usually what I do when I use my air fryer is to always shake up whatever you're cooking in there to make sure you circulate it. Obviously this was too stuffed, but we made it work anyway, guys. The fish came out delicious. It's my favorite. It's the blue liner fish. Here's my delicious Saint-Hubert Poutine gravy. And of course our cheese is ready and the fries. You guys, you know what? They turned out fine. They look a lot softer than they actually are. They were actually pretty crisp considering how much I'd stuffed them. But knowing I was going to compound them with gravy and cheese, I wasn't too stressed. Now, Jamie likes to make fun of me and ask if I want fries or cheese with my gravy, but I don't care. If they're not swimming in gravy, it isn't a poutine to me. There's Belle, my super awesome camera girl. You guys, this was an amazing meal. I know it seems so simple, but a little bit of Kraft tartar sauce, some poutine cheese curds and homemade fries, and this is a happy girl. This supper was amazing. So Jamie and I were watching a show called Pressure's On last week about Instant Pot or pressure cooker recipes. She made apple butter pork chops. Obviously, I wanted to replicate it. I couldn't find a recipe online, so we are just winging it. I went ahead and grabbed these 2 packs of pork chops in my state of emergency grocery haul. Also had some applesauce and apple jelly. I have some garlic, an onion, and some potatoes. I'm going to do mashed potatoes, and we're going to do some asparagus on the side. This meal, I wish I had it in front of me right now. So, so good, you guys. And of course, if you don't have a foodie or an Instant Pot, I'm sure you could bake this in a casserole dish in the oven. And because you obviously haven't seen me peel enough potatoes in these What's for Dinners, here's another one. I'm just peeling these up. They're just regular russets. Gonna get ready to mash them with salt, pepper, butter, and milk. And I always salt my potatoes before I cook them. It's just better. I also opted to add an onion to this recipe. I don't believe she did on the show, but I know our family really likes them, and the thought of them kind of really breaking down and caramelizing a little bit with the applesauce sounded delicious. I'm also going to prep my asparagus. If you didn't already know, if you kind of give them a gentle little bend, they'll naturally snap where they're supposed to. I had a few that were all at different spots, so I was snapping them, and then the last 4 I just gave up and cut them all at the same level. Now with my foodie, I'm setting it to the saute function, and I'm adding a little bit of canola oil to the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and season them with salt and pepper. I just want to lightly brown them. It doesn't brown as dark. I don't know if it's the foodie or I find the Instant Pot seems to brown a little bit better than the foodie, but it's mostly just to kind of color them on each side and get some of those juices and stuff going in the base so that I can cook up my onion as well. I go ahead and throw the onions in, and I'm going to throw probably a couple tablespoons of chicken stock just to kind of get them going. I'm also going to add a couple tablespoons of that apple jelly. Obviously, might as well continue with the apple theme. Here, I'm just gonna go ahead and put the pork chops right back on top of the onions and pour in the entire jar of applesauce so they're just barely submerged, or at least they're covered very well. I set the pressure cooker on high for 8 minutes, and then I did a natural release for 10. Here I'm just preparing the asparagus. In my opinion, less is more with asparagus. I like garlic, butter, and oil, and that's it. I usually do them in a pan anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes on medium-high heat. Stay very close. When they start to get really vibrant and green and they're not going to lose their snap, that's when I pull them out. Even Jamie said, "How do you do this? Every time I cook asparagus, they're so soggy." And I say, pull them out when you think they should stay another couple minutes. Like I said at the beginning, my mashed potatoes are salt, pepper, butter, and milk. Super easy and a good workout. You guys, hello heaven, hello delicious. These were amazing. I probably could have cooked them for 6 minutes. They were the teensiest bit tough, but it was so flavorful. This was an amazing supper to close out the week. I even had apple crisp that I made the day before in my isolation blog, if you guys want to check that out. This was an amazing week, you guys, for dinners. And even considering I pulled a lot of it out of my pantry and just tried to make do with what I had, I hope you guys are holding on, hanging in there, staying safe. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more What's for Dinners, because no matter what happens, I still have to cook for my family. Take care. Have an awesome weekend.